Welcome everybody, my name is Tim Sandy and I'm a VMware Systems Engineer. In this May 2014 Training Camp Sales Bite session, we'll go over the basics of the vCloud hybrid service. Basically what it is, how it can be used, and why you should use it. You will hear how VMware's vCloud hybrid service will extend your data center and it provides you a reliable and secure hybrid cloud experience that you need. So what is vCloud hybrid service? Simply put, consider it a software-defined data center for rent. A more technical explanation might be that the vCloud hybrid service is an infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, as you might have heard. Cloud that is owned and operated by VMware and built on the trusted foundation of vSphere that you already know and love. It brings together both the private and public cloud, enabling customers to deploy workloads anywhere, yet able to manage them from a single interface. With the vCloud hybrid service, applications don't need to be modified when moved into the public cloud, which is a great feature. And since they will be leveraging the same tools that you're already familiar with, no additional training is required. To create this seamless hybrid cloud experience requires some fundamental components. They include a common management and orchestration platform, unified networking, a common security model, and one place to call for support. This means IT can remain in control using all the same procedures and tools that they're already familiar with, and a line of business can get to the cloud faster without having to re-architect the application, which is a huge feature. One of the major issues that companies are having now is being able to deploy and get operationally applications quicker than ever before. vCloud Hybrid Service is a ready-to-run cloud, meaning any of your current applications can run with no changes required. Again, it's built on that same vSphere technology, same networking and everything, so you can literally migrate it from your private cloud and your data center directly out to the vCloud hybrid service without having to make any changes, which is awesome. There are three key differentiators with VCHS that makes us different from the rest, essentially. vCloud hybrid service, or VCHS, provides you with the fastest path to the cloud because, again, it supports more workloads in the cloud environment than any other service without the need for redeveloping those applications that we just mentioned. So again, no changes are required. You can just migrate them out to the cloud. Secondly, VMware is delivering a true hybrid cloud with this service and is a natural extension to the customer's existing data centers that are built on, again, the same secure, policy-driven networking technology. So you're not having to create any separate networking functionality. Simply create a VPN tunnel between your private cloud and your vCloud hybrid service, and you can migrate your workloads, your applications, or your servers out to the cloud. Finally, VCHS is the most easy and painless ways for companies to adopt to the cloud. This is accomplished, again, by removing long and expensive IT staff learning curves, by leveraging their existing skill sets and ultimately reducing the total cost of ownership. Again, your IT admins are not having to learn a new interface. You're using the same vCenter interface. If you're using vCloud Director or VCAC, any of the other VMware tools and software packages, you're going to use those same management interfaces to manage both your internal personal cloud as well as your VCHS instance out in the cloud. Now there are 5 locations currently, or 5 data centers rather, where you could potentially have a VCHS instance. In the United States, 4 out of the 5 are there. You have Las Vegas, Nevada, Sterling, Virginia, Santa Clara, California, and Dallas, Texas. And then we also have a location out in the United Kingdom. Now, as time goes on, I'm sure that we will be expanding our data centers, and you will see more data centers pop up, potentially in some other continents, maybe in South America, but keep your eyes open. I'm sure we'll have some opening up soon. Another great benefit of VCHS is that we include many of these networking security components at no cost to the customer as a part of the service. Again, These are something that comes a part of your service when you buy your service. These are included. Components such as firewalls, VPNs, load balancers, disk I/O, redundancy, and high availability. All these features, especially the ones revolving around networking, sometimes can be an extra feature with some of the competitors. These are all included in your normal monthly service at no extra cost. So again, giving you more for less. One of the biggest benefits that VCHS offers is the availability to have a single support number to call when you're having issues, either in your private data center or your VCHS cloud instance. If you've ever worked as an IT support staff, such like I have, you know that there's nothing worse than getting your different vendors pointing the fingers at each other and saying that it's the other vendor's problem. So, for example, if you had another cloud instance, say through Amazon or through HP's cloud, and you're not sure whether the problem is on your local data center end or whether it's out in the cloud, you're having issues. Well, you call one, they say, well, you need to call the other. And next thing you know, they're pointing fingers back and forth saying it's the other vendor's problem. It's very frustrating, it's very time consuming, and it delays you getting your systems up and running again. With VCHS, again, it's all VMware. It's all based upon the same vSphere technology, so there's not different technologies you have to worry about. Again, you have one number to call, whether it's for your local data center or your cloud instance, one support number, and that is huge, and that saves a lot of time, and it saves money and gets you up and running again quickly. When you're talking to your customers, you should know the keywords, obviously, to listen for, so you know when VCHS might be the right fit for them. A company that has a test development shop that needs to spin up applications and systems on the fly and potentially stand them down as they're no longer needed are definitely a prime target to talk to them about VCHS. Companies such as small to mid-sized businesses that are large enough that they rely heavily on their IT infrastructure, however, not so big that they can afford to have to pay for their own disaster recovery site and all of the costs associated as far as the building, the power, the AC, all the cost of the equipment and everything else. They're definitely a key target to have a conversation with about VCHS. Anytime any type of work that a company does, packaging applications, whether it's large-scale enterprise applications that they're wanting to move to the cloud or next-generation applications, anything relating to packaging applications, you're starting to see that the cloud is becoming more and more a part of future application development. So these as well are another good candidate to talk to. So keep your ears open for these type of statements and these type of conditions or business cases that your customers are mentioning while you're on the phone with them. VCHS comes in two primary service offerings. First is the dedicated cloud, and then the virtual private cloud. They have capacity and architecture, and they also have contract term differences, obviously, between them. Just to kind of describe the two briefly, the dedicated cloud provides physical isolation pools of resources, such as your RAM and CPU. Compute nodes with our data centers for dedicated cloud are air-gapped. Network and storage are logically isolated on modern high-end multi-tenant infrastructure with appropriate resource guarantees in place. So again, you get guaranteed resources, physically separated resources such as RAM and CPU and servers. It gives you that physical separation. So for people that need that, the dedicated cloud is definitely the way to go. Obviously, the dedicated cloud, as you see there, for your compute storage and networking, you get more resources when you go with the dedicated. Obviously, the dedicated is going to be a little bit more expensive way to go than the virtual private cloud. So the virtual private cloud has pools of virtual CPUs and virtual RAMs, while network and storage are logically isolated, again on a high-end multi-tenant infrastructure built on the power of vSphere. So everything's more they're pools of logical resources, such as, again, virtual CPUs, virtual RAMs, virtual storage. So it's more of that logical separation. So those are your two different offerings. Now there's also some additional add-ons that you can add on to your VCHS service offerings. Recently we've made, you might have heard that we made available Disaster Recovery as a Service, or DRAAS, which provides you with a warm standby of your virtual machines. They allow you up to 2 tests annually to ensure that your disaster recovery process will work when in fact a actual disaster does happen for real. So you have 2 times a year that you can test out that DR scenario to make sure that it works. So when the time comes, you know it's going to work. It also provides anywhere from a 15-minute to a 24-hour recovery point objective, or RPO, which the time frame does depend on your network and internet connection speeds. That's why there's kind of a large differentiator there between the 15 minutes and 24 hours. Finally, it gives you a 4-hour or less recovery time objective, or an RTO. You can also add in the data protection within your VCHS instance that uses agentless, policy-driven backups. It allows you for unlimited backups of all your virtual machines while being able to customize your backup schedule that works best for you. So whether you want to do daily, weekly, monthly, whatever your normal backup schedule is on-premise at your local data center, you can set up the same type of schedules in your VCHS instance with data protection. If you have large amounts of data that you want to move to the cloud from your local data center, but it's too much to be done over the internet, we do offer the offline data transfer, or ODT. VMware will ship to you a storage device to transfer all your data onto from your local data center, and you'll use the vCloud connector appliance to do that transfer of the data between that storage device and your VMware environment. Once you've got all that data on there, you would then ship it back to VMware. VMware will connect it in at the appropriate data center that your VCHS instance is, and then they will connect it up to your instance, and then you'll have access to your data. So for people that have huge amounts of data that are wanting to put out into the cloud, that is probably a more practical way of doing it rather than trying to literally transfer terabytes of data over the internet. That's just not feasible. Finally, if you have a lot of applications that require to be very bandwidth intensive, that you need to have a really solid internet connection, high speed between your local data center and your VCH instance, we do offer up Direct Connect. The Direct Connect option basically creates a private, direct, high throughput path between 2 endpoints, and those 2 endpoints are obviously going to be your local data center and the VCHS instance that you've purchased. So those are some of your additional add-ons that you can get in conjunction with the normal infrastructure as a service, VCHS. That completes this presentation on VMware's vCloud hybrid service. I hope this presentation was helpful to you, and I'd like to thank each one of you for watching. If you have any additional questions about vCloud hybrid service, feel free to reach out to your Tech Data sales or technical representatives. Thank you and have a great day.